In this review, I will be taking a look at the NECA Gremlins George Mogwai reissue figure. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Let's start off by taking a look at the packaging. As I mentioned, this is a reissue of this figure. It originally was released in 2011. This new one comes on a blister card. Towards the bottom on the front is the character's name, alongside an illustration. Moving up, you can see the figure itself. At the top is a Gremlins 2 logo. Turning to the side, it shows that this is number 4 in this new wave of Mogwai figures. Turning around to the back, there is a pic with all the other Mogwai reissues. Next to that is an instruction on how to use the action feature. Moving up, we get pics of other Gremlin figures available, as well as a pic of George. There is a little bio on George. Feel free to pause and read. And here is the other side stating the figure's action feature, which is posable eyes. Upon removing the figure, we can get a better view of the background, which pays homage to the old Topps trading cards from the Gremlins 2 movie. And speaking of the card, here it is. I think this was a neat design choice. The back of the card has the same little bio for George. Now let's take a closer look at the figure. Sculpt-wise, George looks just like his movie counterpart. Even though this is a reissue of a 12-year-old figure, the sculpting is beautifully done. I'll say it's I'm blue in the face, but NECA is the best in my opinion when it comes to sculpting figures. George has an intimidating facial expression. He just looks so sinister. He definitely gives off an old gangster vibe in my opinion. As I mentioned in my Lenny Mogwai review, George and Lenny got their names from the Book of Mice and Men. The paintwork for the most part is pretty clean. Another aspect NECA usually excels in. There is one error made though. If you've watched my Lenny review, you might already know what it is. As nice as the paint on the fur turned out, the eye color is the wrong color. Since George is squinting, it's not nearly as noticeable though. The eye color on the figure is brown. That is not accurate to the film. The correct color should be orange and yellow. The original release of the figure had the correct eye color. Moving on down to the body, the paint turned out fantastic. The mixture of gray, white, and black looked really good. There is a wash over the gray as well to bring out the sculpted detail of the fur. This is the same Mogwai body used for just about every Mogwai figure released. Don't fix what ain't broke. The 3-fingered hands have sculpted and painted fingernails. The 3-toed feet also have sculpted and painted toenails. There are no peg holes on the bottoms of the feet. Turning the figure around, here's a look at the backside. If you're familiar with the NECA Mogwais, then you already know what this plastic tab is for, but if you're not, this is to keep the trackball in place. This is what allows you to move the eyes around. More on that in just a bit. Going over the articulation, the head can be moved all around. It can also look up and down. The ears can rotate as well as go up and down. The arms can go forwards and backwards, as well as slightly outwards. The lower arms can rotate. The hands can also rotate. The legs have minimal movement. They can barely go back and forth. There is rotation though. Now removing that tab allows you to move the eyes around. Once again, due to the squinting eyes, it's not really that noticeable. I honestly don't care for this feature though. Most of the time it doesn't work right. A lot of times they will get out of sync with one another, or just get stuck. Like I said, it's not as noticeable as George, but it's still a flawed design. Now let's compare George to some other NECA Gremlins figures. First up is the original release of George. They are very close to one another, the paint only minimally different. The biggest difference is in those eye colors. I wish NECA had used the correct ones, but that aside, it's still a great figure. Next up is George in Gremlin form. I just really love the design of this character. Here is George alongside Gizmo, and the little Gizmo from the accessory pack. And finally, next to a Gremlin from the first film. So So that is my review of the NECA George Mogwai reissue figure. Eye color aside, I think this figure turned out great. Since the original release has been long out of production, I'm glad NECA has re-released it for people who missed out the first time around. I do think this figure is worth getting, but if you do own the original version, I don't really see a need to upgrade, unless you just really like the new packaging. Once again, if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, as well as click on the notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. Also, hit that like button if you did enjoy this video. Thank you for watching.